Hey everyone, this is going to be a different, well, slightly different type of video. I'm going to be showing off a budget build for Branded. Starter, introductory, new account, beginner, however you want to call it, phrase it, or whatever. This is a budget Branded build made for new players who probably have like their starting like 10,000 gems and they want to make the most playable version of Branded they can while on a budget. Now I will say, let me hit save just in case. Okay, good. Let's save. I will say this deck, I'm going to switch scenes here. One moment. Compared to the full build of Branded, this deck is cheap. Full stop, this deck is cheap compared to full build Branded, which isn't to be, surprised. Now, I know in the list there is like plenty of ultra rares in there, but only 2 of them are craft only, which is Rinbrum Guardian Chimera, and it is 330 ultra rare material, aka 11 ultra rares, and 540 secret rare materials, which isn't so bad. You can trim some here and there as you're like getting started and like just kind of like fill them in as you go, but for the most part this is fine. And I have my full build version here, and you can see it's 1020 ultra rare material, a whole 690 more, just extra like 23 ultra rares. It's a lot. And instead only 420 SR, but by the point in which you have this, you probably don't care as much about this. At least as much. You have like 14 mandatory crafts and so on and so on. So, let's talk about the budget build. I'm going to go back to the game since it's easier to show things there. And it's the UI most people are used to. So we'll quickly... actually, before I go over this deck list, since this is geared towards beginners, I'm going to show another video, or not video, another deck that pretty much everyone's going to start with, or at least for this I recommend them. Okay, here we go. So this is like a day one, like couple hours played mishmash of the cybernetic successor deck. This deck is basically the bundles and 3 copies of the cybernetic successor deck. You should be able to make this literally within a few hours of playing the game. Maybe and for like the super like budget version where you don't even have the bundles yet, you can go like this. I even removed some other ones just in case, and then just go like that, and that's it, right? But still, this is like a day one build, and what it does is you play Cyber Dragons, and this is like the Cyberdark version of the deck. There's Cyber and Cyberdark. This one's leaning more into the Cyberdark stuff, in which case you'll be pumping this guy out, Cyberdark End Dragon. I'm not going to go over how to play this deck in this video, but I'll say that it's not hard. I promise it's not hard. This is like one of the easiest decks in the game. It's one of the easiest decks in the game. You make this guy and most decks can't even kill it. It's like a 5,000 guy who's unaffected by activated effects. Most decks, particularly the ones you're going to see at the beginning of the game, cannot deal with this guy. I don't believe any of the solo gate missions can out him either. Because there's like no kaijus, no, anything like that. So I'm not going to go over this deck very much, but I'll quickly walk through the deck list. It's 2 Cyber Dragon Hertz, 3 core, 3 Cyberdark cannons, 3 Cyberdark claws, Cyberdark horn, Cyberdark edge, 2 copies of Cyberdark chimera. It was 1 copy of, I mean, you saw what I did. I moved Ash Blossom and Lightning Storm away. I'll just add them back, because these are the bundles you should buy first, in my opinion, as a new player. Anyway, so yeah, 1 copy of Cyber Dragon, 1 copy of Jizukiro, the Star Destroying Kaiju. This is a searchable kaiju. It is a light machine monster, therefore Cyber Dragon can search it, as they are light machines. Raigeki from solo mode, Monster Reborn from solo mode, 2 copies of Power Bond, 1 copy of Overload Fusion, 3 Cyber Emergencies, Cyber Repair Plant. This is how you can search all of the light machine stuff. You see it down here as one of the modes. Add 1 light machine monster from deck to hand. Cyber Rev System, which is like their archetypal Monster Reborn. Lightning Storm from the bundle. You can add more copies of Fusion Deployment. It doesn't do too much in this deck, so I left it at 1 copy. But if you were, you know, just because you can deploy like Cyber Dragon sometimes, but like this largely isn't doing too much and kind of just filler. There wasn't very much to put. You're not going to be playing this for that long. But yeah, there wasn't like too much to put here. It could be anything. 2 copies of Cybernetic Horizon, 3 copies of Cyberdark Realm. This is a generic searcher for all the Cyberdarks and will normal summon 1 of them for you. Clockwork Knight, which is one of the tools in which Cyber Dragon can clear out an entire board with Fortress, because it turns everything into machines. Then you have Cyber Eternal, which is another archetypal Monster Reborn, except for fusions and such. It also has a protection effect attached to it. Not a bad card, actually. Not played in competitive versions of the deck, but for like a budgety version, it's pretty good. And then finally, Cyberdark Invasion, which is just like a advantage engine trap card. It also makes Cyberdark and Dragon like way more powerful, because you give it additional materials and then it can swing it more times. It goes from swinging like once or twice to swinging 2 or 3 times, and that's, you know, 5 to 10,000 damage versus 10 to 15. It's a big difference. Extra deck, not even 15 cards. No reason to, you know, sweat it too much. Chimeratech Rampage Dragons, 2 copies of Cyber Twin Dragon. You will have to craft this. It's just an SR. I recommend you do it. It makes the deck a lot more powerful. I really recommend just coughing up the 30 SR to make this. It's just 1 SR for this. To make this deck, you need to craft 1 SR and buy the bundles. That's it. Cyberdark Dragon. 3 copies of Chimeratech Fortress Dragon. This is used alongside Clockwork Knight, Cyber Dragon, or in any of the Cyber Dragon cards that takes on its name. 2 copies of Cyber End Dragon. 1 copy of Cyber Darkness Dragon. 1 copy of Cyber Eternity Dragon. This is like a wall, basically, that can't be like destroyed by a bunch of stuff. Cyberdark End Dragon, which is like your big bad boss monster. If you're going first, you'll probably make this, and if you're going second, you'll probably make this and kill them. Like, you'll either power bond this, or you'll power bond this turn 1, power bond this turn 2, and you'll probably kill them. Especially solo mode, this deck goes hard. So that's all I'm gonna. Oh, and finally 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Nova, which you probably won't make very much, but hey, it comes up sometimes. It's not like we're, you know, fighting for extra deck space here, so I figured, you might make this sometimes, let's add it, right? So that's that deck. You'll be playing this probably for like, you know, a couple days tops, depending on how much you play. This will clear all of solo mode, no problem. All of the solo gates. It'll probably get you straight through, like, rookie, bronze, silver, all of that just fine, and you'll get, like, thousands and thousands of gems, and then during that time, you're going to be opening some secret packs. Let's talk about secret packs real quick. Alright, so back to this website. You can see on the right here, there's this section called Top Secret and Selection Packs Used. Spoiler, there will be no selection packs here because they expired, but aside from that, well, actually, I guess Ash Blossom is currently there, but this is like a video for now and in the future, so I'm not going to count on people getting Ash Blossom, nor do I recommend, unless you know, really want some of these, then I don't, like, super recommend it. Anyway, so let's look at the three main branded secret packs. There is the Alba Abyss pack, the Opening Act of an Apocalypse pack, and Dragon Kings from the Abyss. And that is the order of importance for them as well. Alba Abyss is by far the most important pack. You're probably going to be spending 10,000 gems in this pack. You're looking for like 2 of this, 1 of this, 2 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this. You don't need Nadir Servant, but like, you get it. Like, there's a lot here, and it's thankfully not mixed with other archetypes. It's just the Albaz stuff, thankfully, at least primarily. There's like a couple like strays in here, like the Golden Sword Soul and what have you, but, and like Dogmatic Punishment, and, you know, so on and so on. But for the most part, this is a pretty pure Albaz pack. This is going to be the first thing you probably pull from actively to get into this pack. Craft Fallen of Albaz. He is the best SR in the pack, and he's really good. You may get Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous along the way. She's a good card. I would play maybe 1 copy of her. She has the ability to summon herself and tag out for an Albaz. She's pretty good going second as a result. And her tag out effect is a quick effect in which she goes to the graveyard and stuff. So don't, if you probably will pull and a Incredible Ecclesia. The Dogmatica one doesn't super matter, but the Incredible one is a pretty good card. You'll likely play this because you're just starting out. You'll likely play this until you get Cartesia, and once you have Cartesia will functionally replace her. You can still keep playing her because you won't have Lubellion yet. But again, Cartesia functionally replaces Ecclesia. So the next pack you'll be going to is the Opening Act of an Apocalypse. Unfortunately, they stuck this together with the Darklords, another Dark Fairy archetype. Really unfortunate they did that. I was hopeful that the Bystials would end up together with them, because, like, I don't think the Bystials, like, imagine if you just took all the Bystials, right, and all the Bystial cards, and you put them over here, and you took the Darklords away, and, like, that's a secret pack. You could throw in a couple other random branded cards in here, maybe, but and like down the line you can add like Quem, and then into the Alba Abyss pack you can add like Sanctifire or something. But yeah, I think they dropped the ball a little bit on this pack. Putting that aside, you're going to get into this pack by crafting a copy of the Aluber, the Jester of Despia. We want to play 2 copies of him, and he's the best SR here. As a matter of fact, he is the only SR in the entire SR list that will play. So, kind of a no-brainer, I guess. While you're in here, you're looking for, and you're doing pulls, you're looking for at least 1 copy of Cartesia. 2 is better in my opinion. 1 is required. And you, of course, want a copy of Despia and Quaeritis and a copy of Granguinal the Dust Dragon. If you get a second copy, even better. You can also keep an eye out, although not required, for Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. This is just a decent card, especially since we're playing the polymerization stuff with like the Frightfur Patchwork engine. With like Edge and Chain and so on. So this card's value does go up, particularly when most of your extra deck cards are bad. So it is something to look out for. The first Darklord and Darklord Superbia, you could just dismantle these. The Darklord cards are not great. Even when Despia Darklord was at like the height of its popularity right after the Despias came out, they still weren't a good deck. And you know what? Like a year and a half, I think it is now, they're still not good. They are whatever cards. So feel no pity in throwing these into the trash. And then finally we have the Bystial one. We're only looking for 2 cards in here. Bystial Saronir and the Bystial Lubellion. I'll be honest with you, considering that we only need these 2 cards, it's almost not even worth it to pull from this pack. I contemplate if it's even worth, like I did the math a bit. And I was like, okay, it's not that bad, because you can get Dispotter, and like he's okay. Magnuma is also good. Drua's Worm is good. Baldrake is good. Even if we're not in a Bystial format, they're still good cards. You can play them. But really, we're only here for the 1 copy of Saronir and the 1 copy of Lubellion. If you get more copies of Lubellion while you're in here, good for you. We only need 1, and I would say you can spend like 2 to 3, maybe 4,000 gems on this pack, depending on how bold you're feeling that day. But for the most part, this pack for the deck can largely be skipped. The pack's not great considering we only need 2 cards from it, one of which is not an ultra rare. So the odds aren't great. Whereas like you're going to be spending at least like 10 to probably around like 10,000 gems in here. And like in here you're going to be spending another like 5 to 8 depending on your luck and whatnot. But so that's where we are. And I won't go over the other ones. These other packs aren't worth pulling from just to get these like staple cards. Alright, so let's go back to the other deck list. Alright, so we're back with the budget list, and we're going to just go quickly over the cards. We have, and their purpose, in case there's one that stands out as odd. We have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, 1 copy of Despian Tragedy, 1 copy of the Light Hexial Fusion. This may be the first time a lot of people are seeing this card, so I'll quickly explain it. This is what's called a fusion substitution card. Basically, it performs the role of a named fusion material monster. Fallen of Albaz, Cartesia, so on and so on. And it'll make a light fusion monster from your extra deck using that plus another thing, and the other material has to, of course, be correct. So it lets you it functionally lets you legally cheat on making fusions, so long as they are a light. 1 copy of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring from the bundle, 2 Edgem Chain, 3 Fallen of Albaz, 2 Aluber the Jester of Despia, 1 Tri-Brigade Mercurier, 1 Springen's Kit, 1 copy of Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous, 1 copy of Bystial Saronir, Albion the Shrouded Dragon, Ad Libitum of Despia, 1 copy of the Bystial Rebellion, 2 copies of Polymerization, 3 copies of Frightful Patchwork, 1 Lightning Storm, also from a bundle, 3 copies of Fusion Deployment from the Cyberdark structure deck that I was talking about before, 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent, 1 copy of Branded White, also by the way this comes from a bundle, that's why it's in the deck, cheap and easy to get, 1 copy of Branded Fusion, 1 copy of Branded Lost, 2 copies of Branded Opening, 1 copy of Branded High Spirits, 1 copy of Branded in Red, 1 Branded Sword, and 2 copies of Branded Retribution. For the extra deck, we have Mud Dragon of the Swamp, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Predaplant Dragostapelia, Brigrin the Glory Dragon, Sprind the Iron Dash Dragon, Albion the Branded Dragon. Unfortunately, because this is budget, I cut out the second copy, right? And here we have Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. This is one of the monsters we can cheat out with the Light Hexield Fusion. This is a very good card. Think of this as like a tool against trap decks. This card has a particular effect in that it is unaffected by trap cards or effects. Furthermore, it can attack all monsters the opponent controls once each time, and then it also has this final bit where at the end of a damage step, if this thing fought, it can target a trap in your graveyard and set it. I'll be honest, that does not come up very much, but the effect exists. Sometimes you might set Retribution, but realistically it's just the first 2 effects you care about. The unaffected by trap cards or effects and being able to swing at everything. And this thing has a very nice attack of 3,400 that will run over most things. Most things only are at the like 25 to 3,000 area. This thing at 3,400 can confidently run over like everything. Right? Cool. 1 copy of Mirror Jade, 1 copy of Lubellion the Searing Dragon, 1 copy of Granguinal the Dusk Dragon, 1 copy of Rinbrum the Striking Dragon, 1 copy of Predaplant Triphyoverutum, 1 copy of Guardian Chimera, and 1 copy of Despian Proskenian. If you were to tell me that you skipped making Triphyoverutum, because you got, like, you either didn't feel like making it, or you got literally any of the other ultra rare Albaz Branded Fusion things, more power to you, absolutely. When it comes to the extra deck, the first 2 cards to go are going to be this Triphyoverutum, which is a good card. This is a good card, don't get me wrong. But in the games I played, in the cases in which I could make it, it always felt like overkill. The cases in which I could make this card, I was kind of already going to win the game, if that makes sense. Likewise, the next card to go would be this second copy of Sprind the Iron Dash Dragon. The second copy does come up, just not super a lot. 1 is perfectly fine. Now, let's quickly go back to the website. Alright, here we are back at the website. I'm going to have this linked in the description, so please look at the description. They'll be labeled appropriately. But this is in the side deck, in case you're wondering what the side deck is for. These are all of the upgrades you're looking for, either something you'll have to craft, or something you might randomly pull over time, or just straight up upgrades, like the second copy of Albion, the second copy of Mirror Jade, you know, Titaniclad, Verte, and so on. A lot of these cards you'll have to craft, just because getting them's too much of a pain otherwise, or if they're, you know, even available at all. But you will eventually get everything. So these are just things to keep an eye out for as you're building and filling out your deck. Let's go over some like early upgrades, right? So back at this deck list, following, I won't switch back and forth on the screens too much, but let's say you've been pulling ultra rares and you're in the Albaz pack, and you have like this deck here so far, and you're missing those like last handful of ultra rares. You've been playing for like a week or two at this point, maybe, and you're thinking, okay, well, I want to at least make the deck better. I have all these ultra rares I don't like need. I'm sitting on like let's say 3 crafts. You have 90 material. What can we do? I believe the first and best initial upgrade is 2 copies of Called By to start with. And then we said 90, so the other one is of course going to be a copy of Maxx C. Again, just to get started. And at this point, you can remove the Lightning Storm to keep your card count down. So, why Called By the Grave over Maxx C? Because most people will agree, and it is true, Maxx C is the best card in the game. The reason why I opt for Called By the Grave first is because it lets you play a lot more boldly. If you have Called By in your hand, go straight to Branded Fusion, not a care in the world. And then naturally, you'll eventually upgrade the deck further. Let's see, you get another 60 ultra rare, and then you'll add those Maxx Cs, and you'll go like, you know, this, and like this is already like looking pretty good. And the question becomes, all right, well, what do we do from here, right? I believe that's when you go and grab Super Poly. All 3 copies. Now this can be gotten from the Dark. I think these are the Dark Heroes. Don't pull from that pack. Just make these. Pull from the Albaz pack and dismantle the junk and then make these. And then you will simultaneously, honestly, probably even kind of like this instead, if anything. Goodbye, Triffy. And then once that's done, you'll add in the 3rd copy of Super Poly. And like this deck is already pretty good. We're assuming that you've been just tragically unlucky and haven't gotten the 2nd Albion, the 2nd Mirror Jade, and so on yet. But like, as it stands, this deck can absolutely probably get to Master 1. And we've added like some, like a, you know, major staple card. We trimmed out some 1-ofs from bundles that we're not really going to max on. Added some protection. Got a better board breaker. Got a good generic target for that board breaker. And so on, right? So overall, we're doing, you know, pretty good. From there, I think that's when, because keep in mind, Quem, and these are the next ones. Quem and Sanctifire, and then goodbye 2nd Sprind. Quem and Sanctifire can no longer be pulled. They must be crafted. And I think this is the time in which you now craft them. From here, you're going to be looking for And boy, do I hope you've pulled... We're going to assume you have the second Albion by this point. Maybe not the second Mirror Jade, but you've gotten the second Albion. So we'll cut the Brigand, right? And out of the main deck, we'll trim one of these Fight for Patchworks just to get card count down a little bit. Although that is optional. It could be debated whether or not that's correct. And the next thing will be, unfortunately, like, let's say you've upgraded even further, and then now these are going to go. And we're looking at, if you've gotten this far, you've probably, you're so far into the Albaz pack that there's only like 2 ultra rares left that you can get, such as like Titaniclad and like the other Mirror Jade. At this point, you're better off just crafting them. At which point, it's going to look a bit like this, right? And now this deck, we're now in like this is bordering like meta deck territory. The next big shift is going to be in Foolish Burial and Gold Sarcophagus. And this is going to be what kills your Patchwork engine. Once you've gotten to this point, you don't need these anymore. They are no longer keeping up with your deck. And we actually go back to a clean 40 as a result. Overall, the deck is looking really strong. And it's kind of nearing that completion area. The final upgrade, well, quote-unquote final, last big one, is going to be 3 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust. And then after you make at least like 1 or 2 of these, you're gonna... Oh, I'm gonna need to write a lot more than just Fusion, huh? Fusion Duplication. Yep. And now we're starting to really resemble that like fully loaded list. Like we are I mean, at this point we're basically like almost there. I think it's missing like 2 or 3 cards, not even. Like, yeah, it's gonna be like 1 or 2 more. I believe what we're missing is the second Cartesia, a copy of helps if I spell it right. Copy of Quaeritis, at which point Praskenian goes away. And then at some point you'll make Verte and Sprind will go away. And here we've reached the end, right? At this point you now have fully realized the deck pretty much. I believe at this point Ad Lib could have gone a while ago, but I think once you get to this point with like the thrusts and whatnot, Ad Lib can go. And then when Ad Lib goes, I think another Quem. And then I believe this, I would have to double check, but I believe this is the fully built list. It'll take a while, probably like a month. But not, who knows? I haven't done the new player experience in like 2 years. I remember when Master Duel first came out, I made like 4 accounts to test out like different decks. And wound up liking almost none of them. But yeah. So I'm going to exit without saving these changes, and we're going to review some replays. Alright, so here we are with some replays that I got after putting this deck together. It is the deck I'm playing in these replays is the budget build you see at the beginning of the video, in which no changes have been made. So this is like one of the cheapest versions of the deck. So here in our first game, you're gonna see something that happens periodically, I'll say. Not commonly, but periodically. Got a pretty good opening hand. I'll be on the Shrouded Dragon, Fusion Deployment, Branded Retribution, and I activate one branded card and make it. Cool! There it is. This player's like level 37. They're like, nah, I'm good, and they left. Like, nah, I don't want to do that. And that happens. That happens. So get ready for games like that. I had 2 or 3, I think. I think it was just 2. People do that. I only saved 1, of course, because I only need to show that one time. I believe this deck is Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes just released a structure deck along with like the 2nd anniversary stuff. So Blue Eyes is pretty popular right now. Got a pretty good opening hand. Aluber, Triple Attack, Branded Lost, Despian Tragedy, Duel, and Lockbird for during their turn. I'm going to fast forward this and pause as needed. Go straight for the Branded Fusion. I'm going to check their hand with Triple Tactics Talent. I'm looking for Ash Blossom. They have no Ash Blossom. They have Melody of the Awakening Dragon, Bystial Baldrake, Assault Synchron, and Sage with Eyes of Blue. So I'm like, okay, so this is some kind of like Bystial, Blue Eyes, Synchro. It's something. I'm like, okay, so what's the card that gives them the most value? And I'm like, oh, it's this Melody of Awakening Dragon, because they're just gonna, it's effectively a pitch 1, draw 2. And it's cards they want. So I'm like, okay, let me get rid of that. If Ash Blossom was in here, I would have gotten rid of that, and I would have had a safe Branded Fusion. Or I would have at least, you know, known what I was getting myself into. So, Branded Lost first, of course. Branded Fusion, straight to Lubellion. I sent Bystial Serenir, because I have Tragedy in my hand. Otherwise, I'm going to pitch this Tragedy. So I've pitched that Tragedy. It will not activate. Discarding it with Lubellion does not cause it to activate. So he's just there for later. And then I'm going to make Mirror Jade in defense mode. And I'm like, this is good enough. They're going to banish my Despian Tragedy for me, which I thought was weird. And now I'm going to do more things in the end phase. I intended to end my turn and just like pass with like a Mirror Jade banish, Mercurier in hand, and like Droll and Lockbird. And I figure I just have to live a turn and then I'll kill them on the crackback, right? So, gonna get rid of that Baldrake. Gonna grab Ad Libitum. Gonna set Branded in red. Now, it's worth mentioning that Branded in red can currently not be activated. I do not have a target for it in the graveyard. I am anticipating Aluber will die. Aluber will die. At which point, I can then go into stuff. I'm going to stop this just because I don't want him to get a Serenir on the board, which will pitch my Mirror Jade back to the extra deck, right? Or no, does this send... Does it kick or does it... Oh, it sends to the graveyard. Okay. But regardless, I didn't want that to happen because that's too easy of a removal. And I figure they have like link cards in here or something. I'm just like obviously operating a bit blind. They got another Melody of the Awakening Dragon off the top. Unfortunate. And then they draw their cards. Now that they've added a card, I'm going to draw them so that they can't extend super far into me. They blow up my Mirror Jade, and I activate it, of course. They kick Branded Lost, which is probably just completely incorrect. They make Dragluvian and, you know, this. Cool, Mirror Jade blows it up. Yeah. Players on ladder aren't the best. Branded Retribution, grab Branded Fusion, Branded Fusion to hand, reactivate Lost, activate Branded Fusion again, go for Lubellion, pitch the Ad Libitum, and now I'm going to in this chain, I'm going to grab Ad Libitum. I'm going to fuse it away with Lubellion to get an additional monster. So, make Draggus Depelia, grab Cartesia off of Lost, make Brigrin. Now, normally I would make, like, any number of things, but we're operating on a budget here, so Brigrin will do. Brigrin is a perfectly fine card, 2500 beater that gives your guys targeting protection, and it also can't be destroyed by battle. Then Ad Libitum will respawn Mirror Jade for me, and then I just go for the win. Lethal on board, they're dead. Cool. Alright, another one. As you can see from this guy's border, he has the border from the first anniversary. So his account is at minimum a year old. Alright, so got another good hand here. Gonna go straight for the branded opening. I'm gonna pitch. So I did something, I deliberately chose not to special summon Aluber because I want to give them as few draws as possible, right? So I'm going to pitch this, and I'm going to put this in my hand because I'm going to normal summon it. I get my Patchwork, and then I'm just going to start sequencing through these plays. Fusion deployment first. There's Tier Cache. Going to grab Cartesia so that I have targeting protection. They mill me for 3 and don't hit anything too important, but still not fun. I'd say them milling Branded and White for me actively helped me, whereas the other stuff was kind of whatever. So I grab stuff, and now I have my Branded Retribution set up so that I can get things. Aluber, Branded Fusion. I'm going to pitch Saronir, who will be able to trigger for me. Mirror Jade, cool. Gonna banish this and get my free pitch off of that. Cartesia away that in Tragedy. Make Ranguinol. Ad Lib to hand. Send Brigrin. Set Retribution. Set Branded and Red off of Albion. And then some things are gonna come to my hand. I'm feeling pretty confident. My follow-up is... So, I got Maxx C. It is what it is. But I don't want to just end on nothing. I make an okay board, and I set myself up for... So I've set myself up for, you know, Branded in red, Tragedies in my graveyard. I think I even have a backup target. No, I don't. It's just Tragedy. I have Graveyard Recycle for Branded Retribution. I don't have to immediately send Mirror Jade back. So, even though I've given them a few draws here, I'm not feeling bad. I have 5 cards in hand. My follow-up's great. I have Mercurier for a negate. I have a properly summoned Mirror Jade. I have Granguinol sitting here. Retribution, Branded in red. There's a lot I can do. So I'm feeling pretty good. Swords are revealing light, and then they reveal, oh, hey, it's Kashtira. So we're against Kashtira here. I'm going to stop this Rise Heart. I'm like, no, I don't want to see you go away. Then they're going to activate their Fenrir, and then go into this guy, and they're looking to level manipulate it. So I'm like, okay, time to get Draggus Depelia. I'm going to bring the Mirror Jade back. I'm going to negate that, and then banish the Fenrir. So I don't have to deal with this anymore. And then I just insult to injury. I was saving the negate in case they had anything else. But, and to level manipulate, but they, or at least a more important guy. But they just ended on this, and I'm like, okay, cool, I win. I have Polymerization in hand. Gonna make Chimera, gonna blow this up, and gonna, kill them. So, I'm basically just walking myself to lethal here. Guardian Chimera. Pop 2. Gonna hit those. Harpy's Feather Duster he set for some reason, I guess as a bluff. But, yeah. He sees he's, like, super dead, and he's just like, nah, I'm good, bye. And here's the last replay I got. So, like, even though it's super budget, again, this deck is the one I showed at the beginning. Even though this is super budget, it works. It works. So, got another hand here. Open with Branded Lost, Fusion Deployment, deploy Cartesia. It's worth mentioning, I am receiving no prompts. No prompts. They have nothing. Or at least seemingly. They could be a Toggle Andy, but that's not very common at this ranking. So I'm feeling confident just going, like, just super, like, balls to the wall combo here. And I'm just going to fire off Branded Fusion and hope for the best. If things go bad, I have Cartesia to get me at least something. So, I'm going to send, so, again, I'm receiving no prompts, nothing for Imperm, nothing for Ash, nothing for anything. It's literally just, it's not even turning priority over to them. So normally I wouldn't do this, but because if they had something, they would have done it by now. Or, at this rank, right? So I'm like, I'm going to play greedy. I'm going to Cartesia away. At least I'm pretty sure I do this. Yeah. So I'm going to Cartesia away and basically use Lubellion as a free material for my Granguinal, because it's going to go back to the extra deck anyway. And now I've saved myself, a card, functionally. Cartesia back to hand, separated in red. I had Ad Libitum in my hand, kind of just a brick that I discarded. And overall, like a solid turn 1, nothing crazy. I have a live Mirror Jade, Branded in red, Branded Lost, Tribal Gamer Courier in my hand, and a Granguinal. So, what do we got? So, we got Hero. They normal summon this, I'm like, okay, you go away, bye. Branded in red. I know heroes can make, like, some pretty crazy stuff off of, like, their fusions. So I'm going to go proactively for Dregus Depelia so that I can reset the Mirror Jade ahead of time before it's a problem. I'm going to use Branded Lost to grab me Albion the Shrouded Dragon to give me follow-up and additional card advantage. And they just go for this, like, wake up your elemental here. I'm like, okay, bye. And this kills their turn. During the end phase, so during my turn, I banished 2 cards. I banished Brigand the Glory Dragon and Sprind the Iron Dash Dragon. Brigand I used to bring Fallen of Albaz to my hand. And then Sprind I used to special summon Kit. Kit is going to get me Branded in white and put the free Albaz I got off of Brigand back into the deck, effectively giving me a +1. They are functionally helpless, so I'm just going to swing for game. Oh, little pro tip, make sure you always attack with a monster that has 3k or more attack for extra points. You might get a couple gems here and there from that, so make sure you do that. Alright, so again, here we are with the deck list. This is what was used in those duels. You can see a lot of ultra rares are missing. And I'll be honest, in some of those games I wasn't even playing optimally because I was kind of muscle memory and like habit of going for certain things and then realizing I don't have them like halfway through the combo, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have Quem, oh yeah, I don't have Titaniclad, and stuff like that, right? So like there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think this is a great place to start. You can get this deck probably in like 10,000 gems. Not even. Depending on how your polls go and like your dismantling process and what have you. I'm going to link this deck in the description of the video. Feel free to check it. I'll go back to Firefox quickly. Be mindful of the side deck. These are your upgrades, right? And then I'll also link the full build version in the description of the video so you can refer to that and build towards that, which in my opinion is still like the best version of the deck. At least for best of one ladder. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was helpful. And I hope you know, get through the starting process of Master Duel. I know the deck and like how much it costs can be rather daunting, but I think this version of the deck, which is still fully functional, this is, and I'll just say it, this is better than what like most people are gonna build within their first week of playing the game by a lot. Like full stop, this deck's crazy compared to like most of the beginner decks that people are going to create. Still though, that aside, enjoy the deck. Don't be afraid to do this and like make this guy if you're suspicious of traps. The fact that he can attack everything does come up. It wasn't in the replays, but even before, like when we'll say old Branded Despia, I would play this like when certain trap decks were like really prevalent at the time. I would tech in Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon and Hex Seal Delight, and I would just kill them with this because there's nothing they can do. So like this is not a bad card. Even back when before like the current version of Branded existed and the extra deck was so much tighter, I actually used this card with like a full budget. Regardless, have a good rest of your day. Go kill people with this deck. Have fun.